You're listening to Sip and Grow the podcast, the show where we taste awesome, delicious wines while having unfiltered conversations about our passions, experiences, struggles, entrepreneurship, and life. My name is Nicole DiPasquale, and I'm a wine enthusiast just trying to pursue her passions and dreams while taking you on the journey with me, one episode at a time. My ultimate goal is to not only bring you wine knowledge and value, but also inspire you to enjoy your process and journey in pursuing your passions and dreams. Because guess what? The person you become while enduring the process is more important. So sit back, grab a glass, and let's sip and grow together. Welcome back to Sip and Grow. I am Nicole DiPasquale, your host, and I'm excited to be here. This is episode 3. So if you haven't checked out my first or second episode, go to Apple, Spotify, YouTube, all the platforms basically, and check them out. If not, you can just check this one out too and then watch those after. Either way works. Whatever works for you works for me. But if you haven't already, go ahead and download my freebie. It is the Aroma Wheel. It just basically is a great guide to help you taste wines and better understand what you're smelling and tasting. And it's super pretty to look at. So anyways, I'm excited for this episode because I am basically introducing where I'm at and drinking one of their best selling or most produced wines. It's also best selling wine, but so this is my little journal where I write down everything I've done while I'm here, and I also do my tastings on here as well. So once I taste a wine, I just write notes about them. But I wanted to, so I have it here just in case, but I wanted to go ahead and introduce this bottle and talk a little bit about it. So we are currently, Emeritus Vineyards is the vineyard that I'm working at. So I went ahead and signed up to do a wine harvest for 3 months in Sonoma, and here I am. This is month 1. I've already been 1 week here, and I wanted to come on here and talk about that first week and a little bit about their wines and everything that I've learned so far. And I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot more and tell you guys a lot more about the deeper I go into working with them and tasting their wines and all that fun stuff. So we are currently in what's called Hallberg Ranch. So they are, Emeritus is basically, they have 2 vineyards. So this one is their main one, which is 100 acres. That's a lot of land. And I'm currently living on Hallberg Ranch. And then they have another one that's 20 minutes from here, and it's called Pinot Hill, which that one's only about 30 acres. And what's cool about both of them, so each of the vineyards have what's called clones. So clones are basically they're the varietal of vine or tree, whatever. These are called vines, right? They're called vines. Yeah, it's a type of vine variety. I don't know why I second guess myself, but I do this all the time. So they're a vine variety. So the terminology for a vine variety is called clones, and each vineyard has different types of clones. And what the winemaker here was telling me is that there are legal terms for clones all over the world, but you can call them whatever you want to call them. But here they're basically sectioned off. The clones are sectioned off, and they have a number. They call them by the number, the legal name of the clone. So the first day I was here, we did a tasting, and I tasted about 6 of their wines. They have a total of, I believe, 13 wines right now. And I was able to try 6 of them, which they were all delicious. But we are in the Pinot Noir zone. So All the grapes here are Pinot Noir. And he was just showing me each, like Hallberg Ranch and Pinot Hill, and the different clones within each of the zones, basically. And depending on the wine, you'll either mix certain clones together to make that specific wine. But this one in particular is basically Hallberg. It's called Hallberg Ranch, and its vintage is 2019. So that means the grapes were picked in 2019. And this one is basically all the clones within Hallberg Ranch in this bottle right here. And I mean, each year, he was telling me each year it changes. So like, I don't know, one year they might put a little bit more of one clone into the wine than the next year. But for the most part, it's across the board their most popular wine, and it is the wine that represents their brand very well. And it's the introductory wine for everyone tasting their wines, because this is really the brand and integrity of Emeritus and what they want to bring or be known for their wines. And to be honest, when I tried it, it was delicious, easy to drink. If you're not big on reds, I think this is a great introduction to red wines, because it's so easy to drink and it's really fruity, fresh, and it's a complex wine because it has different flavors in it, but it's overall very easygoing, very easy to drink, which is dangerous as well. But overall, love this wine, and I think it's really delicious, and I think it's pretty cool that I am currently sitting where this wine was made. So that's pretty awesome, right? Let's go ahead and open this up. And I will also tell you guys a little bit about my experience here. So if you didn't see my second episode, basically the way you open up a wine is you use this wine key right here, and then you just kind of cut around the neck of the bottle at the top. And then I like to go in where there's like a little hole and just kind of cut through that, right? And then the rest I just take off with my hands. But this first week here has been pretty cool. I think everyone here is so nice. If you're from the East Coast, you know that like nice people are, not that they're hard to come across, because I know a lot of nice people, but people aren't as warm and friendly as they are in the West Coast. So that was a little bit of a shock to me in a good way. But everyone here is super cool, super nice, and super passionate about wines. I feel like I'm in the right place, because I'm a huge believer in, like, if you are the smartest person in the room, you're probably in the wrong room, right? Because I am someone who constantly loves to grow, learn more, know more, and I feel like you never stop learning, right? Like, life is the biggest teacher for sure. But also I feel like if you don't continuously learn and push yourself to do things that are out of your comfort zone, then like you're wasting a really good opportunity for growth, for being a better version of yourself. And I am a huge advocate for being the best version you can be. And of course, like, there's circumstances that like might backtrack you a little bit, but I think everything does happen for a reason. And when certain things don't go your way, you need to take a step back and really think, like, why did this happen to me? And if it's something that's repetitive in your life, it keeps on happening to you, I think it's really good to take a step back and be like, why does this keep happening to me? What am I doing on my end that is attracting this thing to continuously happen in my life? Because once you look at it from a different perspective and really be brutally honest with yourself and what's happening, that is when like the biggest growth happens. Because when you take accountability for certain things on your end and you start taking actionable steps to change or grow from what you previously used to do, that is like when you unlock another version of yourself that's going to be freaking badass and even better than you would have ever thought. So, oh my gosh, this smells so good. Let's go ahead and pour this bad boy in. So, as I said in my second episode, this is a base, stem. No, yes, yes. No, yes, yes. If you hold it like this, basically the body heat of your, like your body heat will warm up the wine and ultimately change the taste of the wine. And we don't want that. We want the wine to taste as best as possible. I stored this at 50 degrees Fahrenheit, which the optimal storing for red wines is 55. But I did that so that once I was out here filming and everything, by the time I pour it into the glass, it'll be the perfect temperature. So I like to hold it from the stem, but there's people that hold it from the base. You can hold it like this if you want to. Just, whatever you want to do, you can do. So let's go ahead and pour this bad boy. So I like to get, usually if I'm at a restaurant, if the tablecloth is not white, I'll like grab the plate or something that's a white background and just go like this. Oh, hello, Mr. Bug. Yep, that's a bug. So that I can look at the color of the wine. This one is very, very ruby red. The color is great. So right away when I smell it, I smell fruitiness. It smells fruity, fresh, and like even a little spicy, which we like spicy. So I'm gonna give it a good swirl and another sniff. I even smell like berries. Yeah, this is nice. Let's go ahead and taste it. So I think this is a very complex wine in a good way. Overall, it's a very easy drinking wine. It goes down smoothly. It's not like the previous, in episode 2, I had tasted a Nebbiolo. It's not as tannic as a Nebbiolo. I think this is such a good introduction to red wines. So if you're not a red wine drinker, highly recommend a Pinot Noir. A Pinot Noir will change your mind. I think it's a good grape to start getting a taste for red wines. And if you don't like it and you want to stick to your rosés or your whites, totally fine too. Whatever you like, you do. I'm just here tasting some wines for you. But overall, I think this is a really good, versatile wine. And you can, if you're going to like a party where you don't know a lot of people, but you want to bring a wine, I think this is the wine to bring, because this is a wine where like a lot of people will like it without even liking to drink red wine. So if you want to go ahead and try it, it's called Hallberg Ranch. It's a 2019 vintage, and the vineyard is Emeritus Vineyards. So price point, I don't remember how much it is. I have to check online. Either way, I'll link it in my bio so that you guys could check it out. But it is their highest producing wine. So I'm assuming it's on the lower end, probably in the $30 to $40 range. So if you try it, let me know. I want to know all about it. Anyways, so when I got here, the first week, we were, the first day on the job was pretty cool because I got to see the entire process of like behind the scenes in the workshop, basically in the winery. So being in the winery, the first day we had barrel shipments coming in, and it was cool because, which I'm gonna make a whole other episode on oak barrels, because there's a huge like history behind the oaks, like the making of French oak and the barrels, and it's this whole big ordeal. But basically they age their wine in French oak. And that day we were getting a shipment of 40 barrels, and I think we have two other shipments. Yeah, we have two other shipments coming in. But it was cool because everything is very hands-on. So 80% of my job is cleaning and moving stuff around and using a forklift and a lot of labor work, which is, I mean, it's cool for me. It's not for everyone, but I really wanted to take on this role and this job because at the end of the day, as a sommelier, like once I become a sommelier, I don't want to be like, I want to be able to understand the entire process behind making a wine. And I think this was the best experience to have in order to understand a little bit more about what, you know, winemakers do in their day to day. And like when harvest comes, which is coming in a couple of weeks, we're going to really be out in the fields, which I'm trying to share as much as my experience on social media for you guys. And they're super cool here. The first day I asked, I was like, hey, do you mind if I like take pictures and videos and stuff like that? And then a couple of days later, he was like, man, I never get pictures during harvest. And I was like, I got you, because I'll even take my GoPro if you want. We're just gonna be videoing, taking pictures. But everyone's super cool, super nice. And my first week was basically painting barrels, because so they paint the middle part of the barrels red. And it's just for aesthetics more than anything else, because if you, okay, car, I hear that motor. I don't know if you guys heard that motor. But basically, if you, it's for aesthetics. So if you paint like the middle part of the barrel, once you start transferring wine into there and like transferring it out, there's always going to be some type of spillage on the barrel. So if you have half of it red, which is basically the middle part of it, it's not gonna look as dirty as it would if it wasn't painted. But basically, people just paint it for aesthetics. So we spent the first week painting. I also learned how to clean tanks, how to connect hoses to the tanks to transfer wine from one tank to another tank. We also filtered wines, which was pretty cool. And winemakers don't really try to not filter wines because it's just like, it's a very particular process, and it's a little bit annoying because a lot of things can happen during that process, and you also lose wine during that process. But ultimately, sometimes you have to filter wines because, let's say, like the flavor is there, but it's very cloudy. So for aesthetics, they have to filter the wine so that all the particles or leftover grapes or seeds that are kind of making the color of the wine cloudy will get filtered out. And then it's just like a very detail-oriented process because you have to make sure that the integrity of the wine is still there. So you have to make sure it still tastes the same while you're filtering it. And it's a whole process that goes into that. But basically, I've had to do a lot of labor work, but it's been so fun, and I'm excited because next week we're bottling the wines. So that's gonna be a whole nother production in itself, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see the entire process. But my roommate here, she's worked harvest before, and she was telling me that like once we're in harvest, it's brutal. We're out in the fields, we're doing a lot of work. We're working 6 days a week. Right now we're only working 5 days a week. And, but she said, like, I mean, everyone that I've talked to here so far says that harvest is the funnest part, because we get to see everything from like going out to the fields, testing certain grapes to see if they're ready to be picked, and then picking the grapes and then passing them through the machine. And it's all very, very cool, fun stuff. But I feel like this entire experience will definitely benefit what I want to do in the future, and hopefully make me a better sommelier because of it. So anyways, I think I'm gonna go ahead and drink some of this wine with my dinner now. But I really hope you guys have enjoyed this episode as much as I've enjoyed filming it and talking about it with you guys. And I can't wait for the next one. It's gonna be awesome and fun. And if you have any questions, or if you tried this wine and you want to let me know how it tastes, go ahead and comment on my socials, DM me, send me a message, whatever. Any form of communication that you can get to me, just shoot me a message via email. And go ahead, if you haven't already, download the Wine Wheel and check out the other informative PDFs that I have up in my stand store. They're pretty cool, and if you want to learn a lot more about wines or the terminologies and all that stuff, I have it all linked for you in my bio, in my Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. So I hope you tune in for the next one, and cheers.